I should not have invited them.
Where's the car?
I didn't get a new car because my car engine blew up. So I had to get a new car, so I finally got one. And I got one the day that I texted you.
Oh.
100%.
I don't understand that.
This must be so hard.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry for the delay in the live stream rolling. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is October 22nd, 2025, and it is 7:06. Nikita, could you please take roll call? First? Oh, it's the other way around. Come on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Dante Di Gregorio.
Here.
Tess Sullivan. Marina Colonis. Miguel Hoyos. Benjamin Tomini.
Here.
Jack Doyle.
Here.
Brianna Acosta.
Here.
Isabella Bach.
Here.
Joshua Ballesteros.
Here.
Olivia Barone. Maria Lynn Campbell.
Present.
Sonia Chitayan.
Here.
William Dempsey.
Here.
Donovan Dodson. Falola Oluwatomisin. Elias Frawley Gendron. Jamie Goldberg. Alexander Howlett.
Here.
Riley Jackman. Alex Pong. Judy LaRose. Alex Logan.
Present.
Malcolm Mann.
Here.
Keith Marshall. Madison Mello. Marcus Pacheco.
Here.
Kai Reed.
Here.
Marcus Rocha.
Present.
Haley Rose. Chris Russell.
Here.
Jason Sanchez.
Here.
Jonathan Seguin. Tamia Smith.
Here.
Nilsa Toshkin.
Here.
Jasmine Valdez. Lucas Weber. Cindy Kozel. Harry Levis. Melissa Marcotte. Michael Kane. Michael Ward. Ted Zito. The online? No. Okay. Matthew Jakes. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to approval of the agenda. I have a few amendments to make. First, Vice President Sullivan is not here, so we are gonna remove her announcements from the agenda. Dante's gonna cover them. Secondly, Secretary Colonis is also not here, so I'd like to remove her announcements from the agenda. Cindy Kozel is not here as well, so I'd like to remove her administrative updates from the agenda, as well as some faculty updates from Dr. Melissa Marcotte. I'd like to make a motion to make these changes. First by Representative Campbell, second by Representative Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, well, I guess first I should let you guys look over the agenda in case you have anything. Sorry, jumped the gun. I think that covers it. Take a minute. Does it look all right?
It looks perfect, Benjamin.
Thank you, Representative Russell. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to make those changes. First by Representative Russell, second by Representative Campbell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended agenda. First by Representative Logan, second by Representative Mann. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. We are going to move on to the approval of the minutes from September 24th and October 8th. Okay, anyone have anything, find anything wrong? That is a no. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from September 24th and October 8th. First by Representative Campbell, second by Representative Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. We are going to move on to officers' announcements. I yield the floor to President DiGregorio.
Hello, everyone. As you can tell, we're missing a lot of people. I'm so glad you guys all showed up today.
Oh, wait a minute, sorry.
Yeah.
My name wasn't added to the meeting on October 8th and I was
October
here.
8th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to motion to make an amendment to add Representative Logan's name to the meeting minutes from October 8th. First by President DiGregorio, second by Representative Valiant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. Thank you. Yield the floor once again to President DiGregorio.
All right, thank you. So yeah, we're missing a lot of people, so thank you all for showing up regardless. We went to DC last week. That was a really good time. We learned a lot of things, which I'll be going over later. So I will hold off on comments about that for now, but we have a lot of ideas. Also, we should be meeting with Mr. Mike Ward pretty soon. I'll let him talk more about that once we get to his announcements. But other than that, Tess wanted me to announce the winners of the freshman elections. So for president, we have Marcus Rocha. For vice president, we have Josh Ballesteros. For treasurer, and I'm not gonna pronounce this right, but it's Angelia Ortiz. And then for secretary, we have Alexander Howard. I believe that's like mostly SCG people, so good work, everyone. And aside from that, I actually think that's it. So I yield the floor to Benjamin Tom,
Back down
to
me.
Speaker Tommy.
All right, so I just have like a ton of leaves to go through. Let's get this ball rolling. First off, I'd like to seek a motion to approve a late arrival request by Lucas Weber. He has RA all staff meetings, so can I get a motion to approve his late arrival? First by Representative Mann, second by Representative Russell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. Second, the same thing for Miguel Hoyos, so I'd like to seek a motion to approve a late arrival for Miguel Hoyos. First by Representative Reed, second by Representative Saul. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. Moving on, I'm seeking a motion to approve Cindy Kozel's leave. She's at a Office of Post-Secondary Education meeting in CCRI, something like that.
What else?
One of those things. First by Representative Russell, second by Representative Roca. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You opposed?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. Okay, passed. Let's see. I'm seeking a motion to approve Melissa Marcotte's leave. She is ill tonight, so she couldn't make it. First by President DiGregorio, second by Deputy Speaker Doyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. The next four names, they're all at a conference in Denver right now. This is Wixon. So first, I am seeking a motion to approve Tess Sullivan's leave. First by Representative Smith, second by Representative Russell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, passed. I'm now going to seek a motion to approve Riley Jackman's leave. First by Representative Logan, second by Representative Russell. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. I'm seeking a motion to approve Jamie Goldberg's leave. First by Representative Howlett, second by Representative Reed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okie dokie. And I'm seeking a motion to approve Paige Marshall's leave. First by Representative Roca, second by Representative Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Rocha. Sorry, I'm bad with last names, guys. Like, just yell at me. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. Okay, moving on. Moving on to Judy LaRose. She had a prior commitment out of state, so I'm seeking a motion to approve Judy LaRose leave. First by President DiGregorio, second by Representative Mann. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So move on to Jonathan Seguin. He also had a prior commitment out of state, he's not able to make it. I'm seeking a motion to approve Jonathan Seguin's leave. First by Representative Baugh, second by Representative Ballesteros. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. On to Madison Mello. She has a concussion, not good. Seeking a motion to approve Madison Mello's leave. First by Representative Mann. It's like, I was gonna do you, Rocha, but you didn't put your thing out. I was gonna get your name right this time. Second by Representative Smith. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. We do Secretary Colonis next. She had a volleyball match, not able to be here, so I'm seeking a motion to approve Secretary Colonis's leave. First by Representative Russell, second by Representative Logan. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okie dokie. I'm gonna move on to Alexander Kong. He was not feeling good, fell to illness, so he's not able to be here tonight. You guys put on, I didn't even say yet. I'm seeking a motion to approve Alexander Kong's leave. First by Deputy Speaker Doyle, second by Representative Reed. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Let's see. Okay. Then move on to Elias Gendron. He had some Anchor News work that was requiring his immediate attention, so he's not able to make it tonight. Seeking a motion to approve Elias Gendron's leave. First by Representative Rocha, second by Representative Russell. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passed. And then the next one is for William Dempsey. He's just requesting a permanent early leave at 9:30. So I'd like to make a motion that Representative Dempsey be granted continuing permission to depart meetings at 9:30 p.m. for the remainder of the semester. He has work he's gotta get to. So, first by Representative Logan, second by Representative Russell. All in favor? Any abstentions? Any opposed? Any abstentions? He abstained. All right, that's all I got. I am gonna yield the floor to Deputy Speaker Doyle.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. Not too much for you. What's going on? Friday, gonna be our first conditions and services meeting if you're interested, if you haven't joined it already. Friday, 2 to 3. I don't know if that's like up in the air to be changed. But Friday, 2 to 3, I think is solid. We could maybe do it a little later. We talk of maybe doing it before Parliament if you want, but so far Friday, 2 to 3, I think that's the move. So yeah, it's come to the SCG office. That's the plan. First thing on the agenda is, I don't know if this is even in the realm of possible, though. This was given to me as work by Tess. She wants me to figure out what the possibilities of us lowering the cost of the parking tickets are. Now, I don't know if that's like even in our realm of possibility, but that's what we're gonna talk about. So be there Friday, 2 to 3. As far as other business goes, we have a town hall coming up. That's gonna be November 19th. This is not like been announced or nothing yet, so like don't start like preparing or whatever. It's either gonna be from 5 to 6:30 or from 6 to 7. Relax, everyone. All right. Tess was really excited about that one. So yeah, basically we have a solid plan. We want to put up stickies, like sticky notes, whiteboards, chalkboards, in all of the major buildings like Gage Hall, Student Union, Craig Lee, Dawn. And just say, if you had a magic wand, what would you fix at Rick? Just like, presto, it's fixed. And then we're gonna get all that info. We're gonna make our committees. So I believe it's her bylaws committee. Is that what Tess runs?
What was it?
Bylaws?
Yeah.
Yeah, so bylaws.
Oh wait,
Can-
Tess?
yeah.
No, that's him.
Okay, what's Tess got?
Tess says elections and PR.
Elections and PR, if that's you guys, you two with the conditions and services people, your job's gonna be just going around collecting all those answers. You'll bring it back to your committee meeting. We're gonna have a big e-board meeting, and then for the town hall, it's gonna be based off of all of the answers that we saw. So if majority of people are complaining about A, we're gonna go bring in whoever's responsible for fixing that, and then they'll be at that town hall because majority of the problem was that. I see you, give me half a second. We plan to put those whiteboards up about the 27th, and they're gonna stay till the 5th because we have that town hall on the 19th, and we're gonna have a nice e-board meeting on the 7th, just so everybody's aware of everything. We're gonna discuss our answers, be like, hey, everybody's complaining about all this or whatever. let's go invite these people. But yeah, totally looking for input. Like I said, conditions and services 2 to 3. If you got something you wanna say, we can start with you.
Is it just for physical problems at the school?
I believe.
For conditions and
Yeah, conditions and services, I think it's just all about making the students like experience better, like if something's wrong, I don't know. Really, if something's the matter, if you got a personal thing, I don't know.
Well, no, would it be, could you bring up departmental concerns or stuff like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, of course
Alright,
we
cool.
can, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have some good poll, I'll talk to whoever we need to fix some issues, so yeah, if you wanna hop on there, 2 to 3, Friday, SCG office. Yeah, we'll talk about whatever you need. But yeah, I hope to see a lot of people there. I need one more, as far as I'm aware, one more non-parliament member. So if you're on conditions and services and you have a friend, invite them. That's all I got for you guys. I'm very excited to see what people are gonna fix with their magic wand at Rick. Sure, get there. I also got an email from Miss Perry Levis. She has a lot to say about an event called Immigration 101. I don't wanna do it too wrong, so I'll just let you know a little bit, so everybody, be in the zone for when Perry Levis has something to say. Because she's got information on Immigration 101, and this is some really important stuff she was emailing to me. And I definitely can't, probably hit as hard as she could, but I do wanna preface and say, lock in when it's time to listen to Perry Levis. But as far as Dells goes, what do you got?
Tess wants you guys to sign up for Dallas, we still have,
sorry.
you need to sign up.
I thought it was more than that.
No, that's it. We
Yeah,
just
alright,
need
sign up
people
for
to
Dells,
Dallas.
everybody, I'll resend the link into the group me, if you haven't done it, do it, come on, do your part, everybody help out, go team. Am I passing to you? I yield the floor back to Speaker Tomini.
Alright, thank you. We are gonna move on to constitutions and organization conference reports. So I'd like to seek a motion to bring President Victorio, and he's already here, bring up all the laws, to give his report from our conference. First by Representative Mann, second by Representative Logan, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Okay.
You done? Yeah, I just sent him the link. Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hello.
Alright, Deb, we're not gonna be able to see you, we're putting up a slideshow right here.
Look at us, Miguel. Oh, yeah, time to go.
You want Ted to do it?
Do whatever you want.
Ted, I'm trying to get you a screen share right now, hold on.
But it's fine, just go ahead.
Just have this speaker do it.
Yeah.
Too much trouble.
I didn't say I'm a bitch.
First.
It's already.
Go back in time a little bit. I'm gonna yield the floor to Treasurer Hoyos to do his officer announcements.
Yes.
So, sorry I'm late, I was in a meeting. I'm using the computer for my announcements. Oh, cool.
Come on, Miguel, I got you always. Just kidding, Nikita got you.
Alright, so,
Yeah.
I wanted to inform Parliament of SCG's financial situation. Just so that you guys know, you might hear stuff from clubs, like you tell people you're an SCG, and clubs might be like, oh, I'm mad at them right now, they said no to my money. So basically, in the past, Finance Commission has said yes to most requests that have come in, and haven't tracked the spending. So now this year, we have a smaller budget because they cut into this year's budget, I was on Finance Commission last year. So what we allocated during the last year's budget hearings is that, could you scroll to the left, Jack?
Of course I can.
Okay, so that 87,863 is what we had at the start of this school year after the budget hearings happened. So we gave clubs their budgets for the first 2 months of the school year. Last year, that's when that process happened. And then this is what we had, that 87,000 at the start of this year in August. We've given out 77,500, and now we have less than 10,000 now, right?
Correct, that doesn't reflect
Because-
today's allocations.
Yeah, we had another finance commission today. So, yeah, could you scroll to the right? Just for some reference, last fall, finance commission gave out over $290,000 in allocations, and the fall before that was 179,000. So finance commission has been doing a great job in making sure the student activity fee is being spent responsibly, and trying to find other ways for clubs to do what they wanna do, using like money that they're not gonna use, that's already in their budget, or services on campus that they don't have to pay for or have to pay less for. So if you guys hear from clubs that they're upset at SCG because of funding, this is why. But obviously don't go like sharing out to students that SCG is in a bad spot or anything, because we're working to get us into a better spot, and to kind of minimize how much we go into next year's budget. Because we will be going over budget this year. We still have another finance commission meeting or two left. There's at least 2 more finance commission meetings this semester.
3 more.
3 more? Wow, okay. So we're definitely gonna be going over the budget like by the end of the semester. And then next semester, our e-board has agreed to use some of our escrow to kind of pay for clubs to do events, so that we go less into next year's budget. And escrow is like our savings that SCG has. That's what it's called. I don't know why it's called escrow, but so yeah. And then finance commission has been saying no to a lot of requests and cutting down requests after asking a lot of questions to the clubs. And then yeah, our mission is to just reduce the unnecessary spending where we can. Do you guys have any like questions about this? I know it's probably confusing hearing it for the first time.
I just wanna make note that 140,000 of the fall 2024 was from the concert that was approved, that none of the money was ever spent.
Yes, this is true. So 140,000, like Matt said, of that 290,000, 140K was for a concert, and then the concert didn't happen last year. So we still have it in our savings that we're gonna pay for the concert with that money still this year. So that money we're planning on not having. Yeah, but hopefully we don't have it because we want the concert to happen. Terry, or Representative Levis, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Miguel. Can you just back up for 1 second? Why do we have that big of a problem? Like just in English, so everyone, because not everyone's a budget guru and
Sure.
that has your expertise, like why are we in the problem that we're in?
The spending just wasn't being tracked in the past, as long as I've been here, and I think longer. So there was no reference of how much money was spent, how much money is left. So we ended up going into the next year's budget and then did it again.
Okay.
And now we're tracking it, so hopefully by the end of next year, that's like my goal, that's what I'm trying to set up the next treasurer for, by the end of next year to have a balanced budget.
And what is it meaning for student groups? The fact of last year we spent close to $300,000 in the fall, and this year we only have $80,000 to spend. What does that really mean for student groups?
Yeah, thank you for the question, it's a good question. So for student groups, if they're not prepared to answer questions from the finance commission, they don't know exactly what they're asking money for, or they are violating policy in any way, or it's deemed by the finance commission as a, I don't wanna say irresponsible, but essentially irresponsible use of the student activity fee. We're being more strict than I've seen the finance commission last year, like much more strict about these things. If there's any gray area, obviously I'm trying to work with the clubs, but if they're not communicating with me and they don't know what their own plan is, then we're just saying no or reducing the money by a lot.
So I'm gonna make a request and you may not be able to answer it now, but maybe you can get back to us. Are you tracking those requests that you're denying?
We're not, but we have them in the minutes, so we could put that in the spreadsheet.
Okay, and I would request that we actually keep track of that. And if there are requests that are coming in that you think and the e-board think are appropriate, not because, and you just don't have the funding, I think that is, and both Ted, I don't know if Ted can hear me, he should be able to hear me, and Cindy's not here, but I think that is a space in which we would go to the president and let the president and others in the executive team know that we are having a budget issue, because there are several ways to solve a budget issue, right? There's not only one way to solve a budget issue. So I would like us to track, and you can decide if you don't want to, but I think it would be good for us to track which budget requests are being denied, and then for you to actually keep two lists. Those that are denied because they actually substantively should have been denied, and those that are denied because we don't actually think we have the funding, SCG does not have the funding, so that we can actually let the execs at Rick know what is not being funded.
Okay.
Ted, did you hear, what do you think of that? Well, we can't.
Oh no, alright, sorry, Ted. I can't hear.
It's muted, so you have to, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm worried.
No worries, it's okay, John. Alright, anyways, we can move on while,
Yeah, thank you for those recommendations.
yeah, you can decide what you wanna do with them.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think this is the most informed I've seen Finance Commission, and this should be how it has always run. It just wasn't being tracked in the past. Representative Pacheco?
I just wanted to point out that in the past, it's not so much that like the budget necessarily shrank for the fall semester, although that does end up happening. It's that we were in a practice of just approving everything and overspending into next year's budget. So like I think it's also important to note that while we say no to things right now, it also means that clubs will be allocated.
I heard the ringtone.
It also means that clubs will have the opportunity to be allocated more money when it comes time for them to make their budgets for the year, and that SCG will just have more money to be able to help clubs out with in the future. We're just trying to get into a space where like we're responsible with the budgeting and like we're scrutinizing everyone equally when they come in and ask for money and stuff. And so it should make like budgeting a better process too, and yeah.
Thanks, Marcus, yeah.
And Miguel's been doing a great job of keeping us on track with that, so.
Representative Mann?
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So, like Representative Pacheco said, has the Finance Commission just said like yes to everything in the past, like throughout all the years, or like is it just recently, like the last 3 or 4?
For the last year, yes. I can't speak to before that, but it was the same treasurer for 2 years before that, so.
Okay,
it's been the trend.
Yeah, that seems kind of.
Oh, Representative Caruso?
I'm not a parliament representative, it's okay.
Finance
I'm just,
assistant,
I'm just a,
Teresa.
just to provide context,
Yeah.
so the allocations given out by the finance commission during the year has never been tracked. Last year was my first year in this role. And this year I posed the question of, well, is there a budget? How are we keeping track and making sure that we're not going over budget? Joan, the SCG office coordinator, who's been here for I think 21 years, stated that it has never been tracked. And I said, wow, this is a little silly. I think we need to track this. So that starting number that you see there for context is the amount of money that rolled back into the general fund from club budgets last year. So that was unspent money that was sitting in each club's budget from the last fiscal year and then rolled back into general money. So it's essentially found money. So in a perfect world, the student activity fee would go to fund bigger club budgets and be used for the entirety of the year. And then that rollback money would essentially be found money, extra money for like extra things that were not budgeted for in the past or for new clubs. And then another note too that I think wasn't mentioned is that there's a lot of new clubs. And if you were on Parliament last year, this was kind of why Parliament decided to pass raising the student activity fee because there's so much more demand as well. Just wanted to make those important notes.
Thanks. Representative Ward?
So, I would tell you there's a lot to unpack about this conversation, and Nikita, you just added even more into the discussion, because if I heard you correctly, there is not a seeding amount that starts the year other than what was left over from last year.
So the budgets, the club budgets from this year were decided in like March of last year and then voted upon by Parliament. So we'll go through the same process.
Gotcha.
But in the past, it's been speculative and budgets have been awarded based on what future enrollment numbers might be. In the past couple of years, SCG has changed to be now, okay, well, what money do we actually have? And let's give that out instead of speculative numbers.
Sure.
So we're trying to correct that. But the majority of clubs came into this year with a budget, and then finance grants supplemental allocations on top of that, and then funds new clubs
Yeah,
with that starting number.
the one thing that I heard there that I would just offer, like, pause around is you started the conversation a little bit about, hey, we went into next year's budget last year or this year's budget last year, and we'll probably do it again. I think at some point you need to draw a line and try to pull that money elsewhere, and therefore you start with a commitment that next year is clean. Otherwise, you're gonna keep stealing from Peter.
Yeah.
And that's just something I think, to Perry's point, there are other sources of funding that if you work with the different groups within the administration, there may be other means, maybe, right? I would not ever make that commitment. But I think it's a very different conversation when you're coming forward with, here's where we are, with firm knowledge versus saying, you know, I think we're just gonna have to go into next year and take it from that. That's a dangerous proposition to kind of continue down the path.
So I have a question for you. Is that not sufficient? So tracking the budget, preparing whoever the next treasurer is and the next finance commission will be to fully balance the budget next year when we have tracked it this whole year and brought it to Parliament so that we have like full transparency, that Parliament also approves of what we're doing. Do you believe that that is enough, or that we should look at other sources of funding?
I think that's a fantastic piece to be in right now. What you just said is, hey, you've done the work or are doing the work continually to appreciate where you are. You have to know that, right? And that's what, again, what I'm hearing is you didn't necessarily know, you, the collective body, did not necessarily know that previously. So now you have a very different conversation. I think to the point, there are so many more clubs and organizations, and there is a intentional pursuit to do more. But when you go after doing more and you freely just say yes, at some point, you need to have an agreement with, hey, this is where we're at and this is all we're gonna spend, or this is at what point we're gonna have conversations about, we're done, we don't have the funding or won't have the funding, because you have to project beyond where you are today too, right? It's not just about knowing where you are today, but also forecasting based upon prior history, who's come to you for money in the past or where you might find yourself looking for more funding. That's where you have a real different understanding, and I think you can have a much different conversation with a whole host of people about, hey, we think we're gonna be in the red, right? We're gonna expel our budget, we're gonna spend everything we have and be in the red, we're gonna be underwater by X. So do you take that money from surplus, which I think is what I heard somebody say, right? You have a rainy day or a surplus fund, that may be the better place to take that from versus just taking it from next year, because you're only saying next year you're gonna be in the same position. You're gonna spend less. Do you assume that you'll have less activities next year with, hopefully with even more students, more clubs, more organizations? You know what I'm saying? You're just gonna find yourself, and I think, giving that to the next parliament, the next SCG, versus saying, hey, let's fix this here and now, set a budget and then forecast so that you're allocating the right amount of money, like at the right time, so that you're going into it very, very much knowing, hey, this is what we need to fund. And, you know, I think to your question, Miguel, I think you are doing all the right things. Everything that you just said about transparency, and you're coming to a meeting reporting on the actuals versus not having an idea where you really are. So I think that in itself is the first point, but now it's about making decisions about where that money needs to come from or how to advocate or lobby for additional funds that you may not have.
Okay, thank you for that. Oh yeah, Representative Doyle.
You got Ted Zito trying to ask a question, and instead of me reading it, I'm gonna try to get him to say it. So Ted, can you repeat yourself? Can we hear you?
Sure, can everyone hear me okay?
We all can hear you
Yes.
so well.
Perfect, great. Just a question, and I don't know if we've received this year's student activities fee, because I know it takes a little while to account for all of those monies and then they get distributed. Have those come in yet? Were you aware of any of that?
So we receive monthly distributions. I've only gotten September.
Okay, and those, so Nikita, was that you?
Yeah,
So each month you get the same allocation that goes towards the budget?
yeah, so each month accounting lets me know what the disbursement will be to SCG. Yep. They kind of
that's
just send me an email saying, hey, this was what the deposit is this month.
And that's all based on enrollment. However, is that based on census number, or is that ever changing?
So I actually did recently request a breakdown because I've never gotten one. It's just a one-liner email of this is the amount of money that will be deposited. So I did recently request that also data be sent along with it, so I can have some sort of semblance of where that number comes from. But I think that it's something that it's important for everyone in the room to keep in mind about how, if the student activity fee is raised, how that will affect things as well, because Parliament did pass that, and I'm not sure if the Executive Council can provide some more updates on where that stands. But I know that would be huge as well, because it's over 2 years.
And then I would say that, right, I mean, down the road, once that fee increases, that'll increase. But we've also had an increased number of students.
Yep.
So I would expect some of that money to be coming in that helps. And again, I'm looking at this through Zoom is tough, so I don't know if those are factored in as well. But something to think about.
Yeah, I do have the data on that as well, because I did recently ask a question about those monies coming into accounting. And they answered that question, but I do have that data actually summarized.
Okay. It's just helpful to get a sense, okay, it's X amount of dollars coming in each month, and that's our so I'd just be curious on that piece, so that'll be helpful.
I mean, I have it. I don't know if you want me to send it. You displayed, Miguel.
To the display. Sure.
Do you want that? Okay.
Yeah, that would be nice. And can you correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, ideally, all of the student activity fee that's collected this school year, this fall and spring, would be like SCG's budget for next school year.
Last spring and this fall.
Last spring and this fall.
Right, because when we do our budgets in February, we won't have spring 26's deposits yet because they come in on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So it's so in the perfect world, it's the student activity fee monies collected from the previous 2 semesters. Yeah. So one fall and one spring.
And the summer too?
I don't get any emails over the summer, but the first deposit is typically a pretty big one. But again, that's kind of why I'm requesting, where does this money, like what is the data behind this deposit? But I can go ahead and send that information.
Representative Ward.
Yeah, and I won't belabor the conversation. Generally speaking, in my own experience here at the college from a fees deposit, to your last comment, Nikita, you're getting the fall enrollment, it's one big number.
Yeah.
You may get a few from late enrollments, but
Yes.
that's the fall deposit.
Yeah.
And you'll get another one in the spring, based upon the enrollment in the spring.
Representative King.
So on the topic of forecasting, like Representative Ward was saying, so we have a CRM called Slate that admissions uses, and I think it's used for orientation, any orientation leaders could. Yeah, so in terms of budget forecasting, you know who's gonna be accepted to RIC, who's put the deposit down, who's registered for orientation, and that data could give you possible insights for your September number. As what's a ballpark of what I'm dealing with type of perspective. As a possible, it's not gonna be a guaranteed, like Representative Ward said, there's changes, people drop out, there's some changes to fees and stuff like that in terms of revenue, but that CRM may be able to give you some type of better insight.
Okay.
Maybe. It's just a suggestion to see what if you're worrying for planning of who's gonna be here next semester in the fall and in springtime.
Alright, thank you for that. Okay, we can move on, just for the sake of time, I don't wanna take any more time on this. I yield the floor back to Speaker Tomini.
Okay, and I yield the floor back to President DiGregorio to go over his conference report.
Okay.
I don't need a mic. Okay, so everyone pull up this QR code, everyone scan it. Don't. Sorry. So we're gonna be going slide by slide and I'm gonna be explaining everything in every slide. And after every slide, you guys can make some comments, but this is not, I wanna be clear, what I'm showing you is not an agenda. It is not what we're going to do. There's no guarantee of any of this. This is just a discussion. There's not need to be debate or really deep thought about the logistics of it. It's just whether or not we like the ideas or not. And then if you have any extra ideas, you can type it in the Google form. So does everyone have it up? Raise your hand once you have it up. Or put your card up actually once you have it up. Oh yeah. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly like what we're supposed to be doing.
Nothing yet. I just explained.
With
So
each slide, Alex, you're
Yeah.
gonna, when the slide is up, you're gonna put your input right here on the Google form
Related to the slide.
related to the slide.
And they're titled, so you'll be able to tell which one's which. Okay, we can go to the next slide.
Do it.
So this is the slideshow QR code. I can give this to you guys afterwards, just so you guys can keep it for yourselves. But we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the big overarching idea that basically forms all of it. So as we currently have it right now, we have the e-board, then we have the cabinet, and then this would be right below that, which is Parliament Rules, which is you guys. So basically the idea is that a bunch of people in this room could take on greater responsibility, a title, and we would be able to, as the e-board, delegate downward to you some more things to do. That way, more is getting done, and that for example, if somebody wants to run for an e-board position, also you guys can all put your cards down. Unless you have a card. That way, for example, if you wanna run, you could say, well, I did this parliament role, I had this experience. And also during parliament, more people will be able to speak out about things they may specialize in. So, I mean, it's pretty vague, so I'll show what the roles are now.
Next one.
So this would be the roles that would fall underneath me. So first, there would be the president's chief of staff. I already have a chief of staff now. That would be the cabinet position underneath me. Then there would be the speaker. The speaker would be a parliament role. There would not be the role as it is now, and they would just run the meeting. That's basically all they would do is run the meeting. The academic officer, this is under some debate. We've had some talk about whether or not this should be an e-board position, whether this should be a cabinet position, whether this should be a parliament role. Because as Miguel has said, it is not necessary to the functioning of SCG. For example, like the president does appointments to committees, the vice president does the elections and PR, which directly affects SCG. Secretary does the clubs and constitutions, and the treasurer manages our money. And academic officer doesn't necessarily do anything SCG related, it's more outward towards the rest of the school. I don't know if any of you have any opinions on that. Also feel free to, if you have questions at any point, put your card up. Yes, ma'am.
So when you have it, it's like you have like the chief of staff, you're saying the speaker's under the president, chief of staff?
Yes, so the president's chief of staff oversees all of those parliament roles.
My only thing with that is like usually, at least the way it is right now, the speaker is technically independent of the executive council. So it's like if he's on now under the chief, he or she under the chief of staff, how does that work? Or would you just have the speaker be like?
Well, technically, none of these roles are part of the e-board or anything.
No, I mean, but it's like you have the e-board that's president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, but the speaker, deputy speaker is supposed to be like independent, as if like they're not like you guys are supposed to, like you guys control parliament, you guys run the executive council. It's supposed to be that like balance of like with the like it's like the way of like the United States, like where it's like executive.
I do understand what you mean, but even as of now, and I think Ben can attest to this, his role is very much has to appeal to the e-board regardless, because of how we do funding and such.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to get clarity.
Yeah. So it would basically function the same way it does now, except they would just only do the meetings and they would be managed by this role if they needed to be managed at all. Then the committee coordinator, we would have a person that would help me with the assigning to committees, because it's been, I think, a problem over the years. Mac could probably attest to the fact that committees are a pain. So having a person directly help with that would be great. Obviously, the president would still be the one that appoints it, but somebody who does the logistical aspect inside of it would be really helpful. I think for administration, for everyone, it would just be so much better. Any questions about this one yet? Oh, Marcus.
So the academic officer, what would their actual job be, like literally to, should we consider having people from each school?
We can totally consider it. I mean, yeah, this is the time to add and make these roles actually a thing. So if you have any ideas, I think that's totally workable.
Yeah, cause I feel like, you know, like obviously, like we would know more about what happens in the School of Arts than what's going on in the School of Nursing or
Yeah.
or vice
Largely,
versa.
I imagine these people as the point of contact that represents those that represents academics. So if it's like we need something done that is related to academics, this person would do that domain of things. But if you wanted it to be more specific or tailored to like the arts or business or something like that, I think that's also doable. Oh, yes.
So this is a conceptual question. Is this all from your conference? Is this like an industry best practices type of perspective idea generator?
Kind of.
Okay.
Basically where the idea comes from is the fact that we have, from what we could see of the other colleges and their student governments, their general members do so much more work. Now, we're not trying to bombard everyone with work, which is why we're kind of trying to keep these roles narrow and specific to a certain thing, but we'd still like to give you all more things to do. And the e-board currently, there's only so much you can do. So I just think this is a good way of getting everyone involved and brought in the conversation. So this is kind of a more new idea going off of what other student governments do. But just more specific, more labeled, I guess.
Okay, so Dante, you want us on this form saying what we think about what you're presenting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could say anything now if you want to as well, but
No,
we
I thought
wanna
the whole point was to,
collect.
right?
Yeah, just like if you feel like we should know if you want us to remember anything,
Okay.
put it in there. But it's still good for discussion, yes.
So like just in general, like, are these just like more things you can do if you want to, or do you get paid more to be like the committee coordinator?
The idea would be that you get paid more.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything, yes, Chris?
But there's still like, it's like an optional thing, right? So you could just be a
Optional, yes.
regular representative too.
Absolutely, you just get paid less. Yes.
This might be a stupid question, so sorry. So obviously you're president, duh. We get that. So the speaker, academic officer, and committee coordinator, those would be parliament roles, and then would your full title be president chief of staff, or is that part of the cabinet?
That would be just your role in parliament, would be the president. Or well, no, president chief of staff is cabinet member. Speaker is parliament role, academic officer is parliament role, committee coordinator is parliament role.
Okay. I just wanna make sure I'm looking at it right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, anything else before we move on to the next one? Okay, excellent. For vice president, they would also have a chief of staff who would manage their parliament roles. So the outreach officer is basically the PR director, except it's not just PR, it's also recruitment of students. Town hall coordinator would be basically what Jack does, but only town halls. And then the elections commissioner would stay largely the same as it is now, but as a parliament role. What do you guys think about that for a second?
Where is like the PR part on here?
What do you mean?
Like social media and stuff like that?
Outreach officer.
Okay, so that's social media website and all of that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anything else? Yes?
Rather than using the word chief of staff twice, could you make one of them to like a chief strategic officer, CISO or something like that? Just an idea generator.
Yeah, I think that would be okay. I think I would personally I would prefer just like keeping it a little more uniform. But it's not chief of staff for everyone, so which you'll see as we go through. But it just, as you see, it doesn't work with vice president because as you'll see for secretary, it's vice secretary and vice treasurer, and vice president didn't really sound good. So, yeah. Oh, yes.
So I think not to bring up a separation of powers issue again, but elections commissioner should probably be independent of the executive board.
That would be kind of the point of the parliament role. The fact that it's a parliament role. It's not like cabinet, it's parliament role.
Oh, okay, I'm confused then, so why is it under the vice president? Cause they
if-
would manage them?
Yes, they would like direct them and they could like delegate down responsibilities to them.
Like when you present it like this, it seems like these people would fall directly under the vice president. But I
Yeah.
think that they should be directly accountable to parliament.
Yeah, well, they should be accountable to parliament, but also how else, well, we'll get into this a little later, cause there is ways that I separate the executive and I guess legislative in a way
Okay.
further on. And then you can tell me if you still don't like it once we get there.
Okay, alright, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We can go to the next one. Okay, so obviously the vice secretary, the conditions controller, which is the thing I talked about in my state student body, which would be for data. Student resource officer would be a representative and would report to financial aid, learning for life, career and life design, things like that. So they would be the point of contact for those things. And then the historian, so for example, when we bring a policy to you guys to talk about or to vote on, they would be able to give context on what the policy is, what the purpose of it was at the time. That way we're more informed about the policy that we're bringing, because as it is right now, it's kind of just like, I want this to happen, but sometimes we could be changing things that might not be worth changing. Maybe there's good reason to have them. Any thoughts? And also yeah, Marcus, did you have?
I was gonna say, I think the historian's a great idea. We didn't know what was happening with budgets just 10 minutes ago, right? Before a year or two out.
Super helpful, yeah.
Yeah, nobody, it's hard, sometimes it's hard to find the history of how we got to where we're at, so.
Yeah, so also I'd like to make clear that none of these have to be like exactly what we do. We can remove it as many as we want, we can add whatever we want, whatever you guys think is important. These were just things that we were able to come up with while we were at the conference. Yes, Representative Levis.
Just to let you know on the historian side, and maybe Matt can comment as well, is that the last SCG board, Gianna and I had worked on creating a relationship with Rick Adams Library to start archiving SCG materials. So it's just, some of that ball had already started rolling. But I would suggest that we work with the Rick Adams Library on that.
Yeah, you should definitely put that there in the
I did.
form, because that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Yes, Representative Logan.
Does every single one of these boxes have to be filled?
Nope. You can fill in whatever you want, doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a comment on every slide. All set, are we good? Okay. Go next one. So these are a little more random and don't necessarily pertain to the treasurer. But, so we have the SGA coordinator, so as most of you know, I've been working with the other student governments across the state to try and get cross attendance going. This person would be in charge of just facilitating that, getting people, signing people up to go do this. So that way we can maintain our relationship with these other e-boards, and they can report back to here and tell us what's going on. That's pretty straightforward. ASGA liaison. Basically, when we were at the concert, we learned that they have so many resources that they're willing to offer to us, and to any college really, as long as we reach out to them. This person would be able to be the point of contact for the ASGA, and they would, so if we had a problem that they think they could help with, they would contact them. And then legislative aid, they would help with you guys, who, if you guys ever want to write a resolution, that way you can turn your idea into something that's passable during Parliament, or something at least worth bringing to Parliament, and also writing policy and stuff like that. Any questions on this? Yes.
Is there any reasoning for these being underneath the treasurer? Because in my opinion, like, there's nothing treasurerly related with any of these positions.
As of right now, the only thing that's treasurerly related about them is that they're Miguel's ideas. But aside from that, no, I don't know that it's necessary that it has to be treasurer related. Just because, like, there is supposed to be, once again, some level of, like, it is kind of convenient that for some of the other ones we are able to have them kind of align with what that keyboard person does, but really those positions are Parliament roles and they're supposed to be providing something to Parliament. So if, for example, it's just like, and the treasurer needs something, so we figured if we have, I don't know, a topic that's for some reason legislative, Miguel could be like, hey, legislative aid, we need this. And they could do with it what they want, bring it to Parliament, whatever that may be. Matt?
Yeah, I was just gonna simply say, it's like, I feel like a lot of these are more like VP or secretary. I'd say if you wanna do like treasurer ones, it's like, there's definitely a lot you could do as far as like entering stuff in.
No, well, so that was actually part of the reason why you don't see comptroller on here. I'm sorry, Will, he's making a face at me right now. We are going to be transitioning a lot of our bookkeeping into the digital platform, RickConnect, so that it's more efficient, easier. I think Miguel, maybe you could speak to the fact that somebody was saying that they ran all their finances alone with the digital platform because of how much it simplifies it. I don't know if you have anything else to say about that.
Yeah, one of the guys I met at the conference, I don't think this is a good idea at all, but he himself was the VP of finance in his SGA, and he was like the only person in finance for their SGA. And clubs would submit their requests and materials through the RickConnect, and he had an app on his phone, and he could just click approve or deny or amend. So that sounds great. And he said it all does the organization and everything too. after the fact, so. I also talked to the old VP Costello of Rick's SCG, and he told me that the goal for Rick Connect was to connect students to clubs, to advertise, and also for the financial aspect, and that it will make it, like, it will change everything. So Nikita's been going to trainings on that, so we're gonna find out what we can do.
Yeah, so we're hoping to roll out the financial piece of Reconnect. There's a whole other piece that none of the student orgs know about, and it's the financial piece. And basically all of the financial functions that SCG does, we're able to do through Reconnect, which is major. We just decided as a college between, SCG and CELS, that since we're moving to a new platform, we should not roll out every single feature all at once. First, we need to get the student body on board to actually use this platform and then roll out features kind of as we go. So the plan is to be fully rolled out with the budgeting piece for next school year.
Representative Pacheco?
So I feel like some of what keeps getting brought up is about like who or what these positions should fall under. And maybe we're in a position where we should have like a committee of some of these things, like put some of these things in like committees with all of these people in them.
We
So
have that coming up actually.
Oh, alright, never mind, I'm sorry, I keep
No,
jumping
you're
ahead
good.
on your slides.
It's a great idea, but we also wrote it down. So any other comments? No, you're good. Right, then we can move on to the next one. So then this is a bigger idea. We would basically be changing bylaws entirely to be more of a judiciary system. These are, once again, just a bunch of ideas written out. And not all of them necessarily are workable, but I figured I should at least bring it up. So the idea is that bylaws is no longer chaired by the speaker because it's now a parliament role. And so the chair would then be a chief justice or the most senior person on there. And they could handle things like student conflicts, so obviously it's not very serious ones, it would be like things between clubs, stuff that's actually within our purview. Policy violations, code of conduct, which was worked on last year. Responsibility and accountability over SCG work, which I'll get into a little bit further. Reviewing the bylaws, and then deferring conflicts not in our jurisdiction to the proper departments. But I can get more into, so another student government sent me their entire policy, because there's a lot of student governments that actually have a judicial system, and I thought that was really interesting, and at least worth exploring. And so their president sent me their entire policy on what set up their judicial branch, I guess. So is there any thoughts before I get into that? Yes.
How would we, if it's not listed in the PowerPoint, that's totally okay. When you say deferring conflicts not in our jurisdiction, could you draw up like some type of chart that's like, these are things we do deal with and these are things we will not deal with?
Yeah, that I think would be, we don't have that because we don't have policy for any of this.
Brainstorming stages.
But that's a really, smart idea to have clear boundaries between what types of conflicts we will and will not. Yes, Representative Ward.
So, just quick math. Do you see the positions that you just reviewed, do you see those as members of parliament? Or
these?
No, the previous 4 slides. So that's 16 plus positions that you've outlaid, so that's 16 people around the table that are identified for a particular role.
Yeah.
Roundabout numbers, right? Okay.
Which is, like Ben was saying to me, that's quorum for parliament. So in order for us to function at all, we need 16 members. So to vote on things at least. So that was kind of. Representative Dempsey.
Yeah, I noticed that you've been kicking around parliament role. I can't talk. What about non-parliament members? Because like people have positions like cabinet people, for example, or any of these type of spots. You have non-parliament people who've had those spots before too, minus the chief of staff. So is there non-parliament people being phased out of being even eligible, even run for any, apply for any of those positions? We have to
they
be on
can-
Parliament to do any of that?
We can, I think for cabinet, we can keep it how it's been, which is that you don't necessarily need to be on Parliament. But for the Parliament roles, yeah, I think that should be in here. Yes, Keith.
Just as a point of reference for everyone, since I'm the attendance keeper, not counting the 4 executive council officers of SCG, so president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, which are the officers of the corporation, not counting them, Parliament has 32 student members. So just to give there's a lot of people not here today, but that's how many student members of Parliament, not counting the executive council 4 officers.
Representative Russell?
So you said like, we're gonna be like, so we're adding, well, we're not adding, but like hypothetically, all this stuff got added, and we added like 16 new roles, and they're all getting paid more, like, can we like afford that? 'Cause we're like kinda.
So I'm glad you asked. Also a thing that we address, not all of this, if hypothetically, we wanted to do, all of us agree that this is an amazing idea, we wanna do it, we wouldn't do all of it this year. We would put it into steps where we do some roles this year, more roles the next year, and then maybe some in a third year if we really feel that it needs to be stretched out that far, but I don't think it does. Representative Mann?
So let's say like someone can't do their duty, like they're, I don't know, a justice, let's say, and they're just like, how do you determine if they're like not doing their job properly? Is it?
So, part of what the other student government was telling me about their judicial branch is that largely what they actually handle is keeping track of, like, making sure people are doing their jobs. And I can show you the policy in a second. We don't have to adopt it or anything like that, but I thought it was interesting, where they will issue like warnings, they call it notices, and they like grade it by color. And if you're not doing your job or you're not fulfilling your responsibilities, they would issue a notice based off of the criteria that they have laid out. And they would decide amongst themselves what to do.
And also, like, let's say, like, are these like volunteer positions? Like,
Yeah, you would not be forced to do any of these.
Okay.
Nobody would be forced to be in a position.
So let's imagine that there isn't enough people, or like, let's just say that no one wants to do these jobs. Would it?
It would kind of just stay how it is now, yeah,
Okay.
basically. Which, I mean, we're holding up okay, so. Yes, Representative Hoyles, or Treasurer Hoyles.
So when people aren't filling roles now, say like the comptroller, no one was in the comptroller position, I would have to take on all the responsibilities of the comptroller. And if I am also not in my position, the president would have to do all of those responsibilities. So it's kind of like the next person up takes the responsibilities of whoever's not in that seat.
Representative Pacheco?
So, two things. One is, I don't know if I like the idea of keeping all of the positions, especially when it comes to like having a representation for academics or the schools, and also for the judiciary. Maybe they shouldn't be part of Parliament, right? Like, do you know what I mean? That way they have like judicial independence of a sort.
These would not be in Parliament. These would be totally separate.
These would be a separate branch
They're
now.
basically, and they wouldn't be on committees. I think we've talked about maybe the Chief Justice being going to their meetings. I can also show you, once we get to the other policy, that like they have they have Chief Justice, Legislative Justice, Administrative Justice, and I think that's it. But those justices are required to be on certain committees, and that's it, and they're required to be on certain college committees to make sure that they specialize in procedures of the college and what
So they
violations
become like a liaison between SCG and the other
Yeah.
bodies, and then could we bring them in to report to us, but they wouldn't be part of Parliament?
Yeah, they would not be a part of Parliament.
Okay, so the other question is that with all of the different jobs that you created under the different positions, right? Like what, not that I'm saying you guys don't have enough work, I'm sure you have plenty,
Yeah.
like, and some of this would take some of that off your plate, so you can focus on things. But like, does it, if you're at full capacity with all the assistants in a position, like what does your job become, just to manage the other people on the commissions, or?
Yeah, kind in a sense, but we're not gonna ever lose our traditional duties as written out in the bylaws. Like I will never stop appointing people to committees and doing e-board meetings and setting the agenda and such.
So it's all the stuff that we've acquired responsibilities beyond the initial bylaws, and now we
do need more.
some way to manage those tasks, got it.
Miguel, Representative or Treasurer Hoyos, oh my gosh.
So for an example of other things that a treasurer would do that there's just no way I can do right now because of the current responsibilities, which are kind of like I'm forgetting the word for it, but the things you do in class that just take time.
Busy
I
work?
could focus on like securing other funding opportunities. I learned that we can receive state and federal funding as student governments if we fund certain programs. We can look into different types of things because right now we're just pretty much talking about funding clubs, but student government should also be looking at like the campus shuttle. We used to run a daycare, but decided that that wasn't being utilized enough, which it probably wasn't. And then
Don't characterize.
Just leave it.
Yeah. So decisions like that of like other services you could provide and like just learning about those things, implementing those things. I just don't have time for that right now. So
Right, so like finding grants and stuff like that, yeah.
We
I
could
got
just
you.
increase productivity so much if all of us were more on board, and not even like, once again, it doesn't even necessarily need to be one, nobody has to do any of these roles, and if you want to, it's a really good way to establish like a clearer hierarchy of like, okay, I served as this, I did this for SCG, and like so like say somebody joins like, oh well, maybe I wanna try this role, then I wanna move up to cabinet, then I wanna go to e-board.
I get it, you're like, some of it's resume padding too, I understand.
Well, not padding, as long as you do your job,
That's,
if you get your
But
experience.
I understand the reason, the logic for doing it is my point. But the other thing is that somebody else brought up that maybe these people don't have to be Parliament. So we should really look at some of these positions where maybe they don't need to necessarily be part of Parliament. Not only does that open up opportunities to other students that maybe wouldn't have time to do regular Parliament stuff, but would be available to do other things or have specialities.
Okay.
Or are interested only in one thing. And also, then we don't have to double pay them for a position, and we could just give them like they were on regular we have a different pay structure for it, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, I think, like you were kind of saying, similarly to the judicial people, they
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to be on Parliament.
Well, I think it's necessary that they not be, cause they're gonna have to oversee certain do you know what there's cases where they need to be separate, but there's also cases where like maybe it doesn't matter if they're separate, and those are two different circumstances, right?
Yeah, I'll further address some of these things. Representative Rocha.
So to piggyback off of what Representative Russell said, we're obviously like paying these roles if and when like we decide like that we want one of these roles, could we almost get like, I feel like I'm talking like Dr. Levis over there, can we get like a spreadsheet of like how that's gonna like kind of like affect our budget, cause obviously we just went over like different policy of like increasing like the executive board's pay and like our pay and all that, so how that would also influence all that.
Representative Treasurer Wade.
So with that change that I brought last meeting, that was before the conference. After the conference, we learned all these things, got all these ideas, are bringing them to you guys. If these things happen, there would be a new pay structure, and that would be something for me to work out with e-board and then go to finance commission, and then that would come back here. So if by the end of this meeting, we don't vote on that amendment to the stipend policy, that amendment is dead. So that won't be a thing anymore.
Okay, I think you pretty well addressed that. Deputy Speaker Doyle.
Yeah, I think Dante's really just looking, not like specifically what we think about each individual role, but just if we think this is generally a good idea, giving more parliament people more positions, letting them get more involved than just being a representative and coming here at 7 p.m. on Wednesday just to, sit and shoot the shit with us. Instead, you'd have an actual dedicated role. People would be relying on you to get things done. And I think really we're just wondering, not about specifics, but if this is something that people would be interested in.
I don't know if anyone wants to, Representative Ward.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you mentioned earlier that you wouldn't do all of these this year anyway, right?
Correct.
So might it be the idea to identify the ones that you wanna do this year?
I did, later on, don't even worry
Or
about it.
I'm reading ahead, alright.
No, yeah, it's okay. I also probably should have structured this slideshow maybe a little differently, which I promise we'll get through. We all feel ready to move on. Well, okay. So this is you can switch the slide. This is the other college's infraction policy for their judicial branch. Basically, just like if somebody does something wrong, this is how they scale it. Obviously, this is not the structure we have. Like as you see, it's the Senate and general meetings. Those are all very different. But this is like kind of how they could work in terms of keeping Parliament and the executive board responsible, not just Parliament. They would be keeping both of us in check in this way. So, I mean, you could read this over now. You could get the QR code for the slideshow and read it afterwards. But this is just all example. Any questions on this before I move on? This is you can't read it. The Chief Justice.
Jack can move that.
Yeah,
Jack can move it to the bottom.
There you go. So this is like the description of all the roles too. They sent me that and I organized that for you. You guys can look over that. I think it's cool. I think it would work. I also reworded it so that it like makes more sense in our brain since it's for SCG. So every justice has like a different thing. The Chief Justice oversees all of them and takes on the roles of all the other justices if they're not there. The Legislative Justice, they would track you guys, make sure you're doing your responsibilities. They'd hold meetings with the people who received a notice and provide input on bylaws amendments for Parliament members. Attend the judicial panel meetings, which is like would be their equivalent of our e-board meetings. And they serve on different boards. The Administrative Justice would oversee the cabinet, make sure they're doing their roles and responsibilities. So they just tackle different things. Mikey?
Just this may be a Dean of Students question. So I see a couple of different places on here where it says College Disciplinary Review Board, Academic Integrity Board.
That is their college committees. I didn't change the names of those, but it's just to give you an idea.
I think we do have those, I think maybe.
Yeah, I think we do as well. So we would have to.
SCG does not have representation on those two of our equivalent right now.
Yeah, this could be a good way to do that, I think maybe. Any other comments? Questions? Okay, so that was just an example of another one. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Next slide. So this is kind of how it looks all together, just so you guys can see. And then committee, we would be doing committee roles as well, which are simpler than that. So basically, the e-board member that corresponds to each committee would not be running the meeting anymore. It would be somebody elected by the committee to chair the committee, and their role would just be to run the committee. And then the e-board member would become ex officio, non-voting member, and they can give their input on these different topics, but they would not be voting on anything. This gives our e-board the chance to be to be partial, I guess, not impartial. They could give their opinions on things, and it also gives committee members a chance to say they've run meetings. So, for example, if somebody wants to run for or go for speaker, they could say, "Well, I chaired this committee," and such. Very parallels.
So Dante, you know that I'm all for discussing hierarchy, given the fact that I'm the prof that teaches public administration and public policy. But this is not a hierarchy. You all are thinking about creating an organizational structure And I think it would be better if we use the word organization and not hierarchy. I just think it's really important. We're trying to create roles and responsibilities and clear lines of communication and also supervision, but you're not creating a hierarchy. And so, you know, in a bureaucracy, the idea of a bureaucracy is that everyone has individual roles and based on their skill set and someone supervising those roles. But the intention is not to create a hierarchy. So I think we should change the words and not refer to it as a hierarchy.
I understand what you mean, but, and I'm not saying we're creating a hierarchy. I'm just saying this is the structure and what the hierarchy is. Do you know what I mean? Because like, for example, committee roles, like that is a hierarchy. There's no denying there's a hierarchy in like the chair and vice chair and stuff like that, or like chief justice and then justices.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter because this is yours, not mine. But I just think their organization and reporting responsibilities. But I do think the word, when we have it go public, I think words matter in the same way that when we promoted change on the student activities fee. So promoting this change, I think potentially using the word hierarchies may not be
Stick with structure.
may not be what you want to do. But anyways,
I understand what you mean.
and I also think just going back on the judiciary, I think we need to be clear, just, was it Mike's comment? About is the judiciary that are being created to adjudicate SCG? Or is it also gonna have a role in adjudicating student issues outside of SCG? And I think we just have to be clear about that.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a more up in the air topic. But I will say that I imagine it being more adjudicating SCG and clubs, because that's like directly under our purview and it seems like the safest bet. Representative Pacheco?
So in the idea that we're gonna create like chairs for the committee and a vice chair. So like as it stands right now, for example, I'm the most familiar with finance, so I'll use finance as an example. Like Miguel comes in, he chairs the committees, right? So now instead we would be picking a member from the committee to chair it. Would finance obviously would still fall under the treasurer though, and the treasurer would still come to every meeting?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like agendas and stuff, like whose ultimate job will that become? Will that be the chair's job now, or would it be the treasurer's job? Would the chair just run the committee? Like, where would the line be between who does what?
I'll let Treasurer Hoyos address that.
So in each committee, it's kind of up to, right now it's up to the e-board member who also serves as the chair. I believe a lot of them make their own agendas. For Finance Commission, Nikita makes the agendas. So I don't have to do that, and whoever becomes chair, if that were to happen, they would not be responsible for that. We just follow the agenda, review it, and then follow it.
No, but like in the clubs that do like have to do that, like what happens, right? Like
I think
like where does the responsibility lie?
I mean, I think it would be understandable if the chair would have to create the agenda, but once again, I think it would be up to the committee. And the way we write the policy on these things. I mean, I don't know if you disagree or.
So that, well then the question becomes like, with the question then would become like, what it would be the point of having the committee fall under, let's say, treasury? Cause like then they'd be making the agenda, we'd be approving, the treasurer's job just becomes like an accountant at that point, like.
I mean, personally.
Do you know what do you get what I'm
know
saying,
you mean,
right?
but
Like
I don't think that this makes the treasurer just an accountant, just because, I mean, it's one aspect and they're still on the committee and serving on the committee and advising it.
Well, you bring up a good point, and can you put all your comments in the folder?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can like take those into consideration.
No problem.
Making policy.
Yeah, we're gonna probably talk about like everything written down at our next board meeting. Mr. Kane.
Something just from my experience and exposure, state of Rhode Island, OPC, and other committees and stuff like that. State legislature, for example, you have the rise of the House, the rise of the Senate, you break out the committees. The chairs are intentionally running those committees when you do the breakouts after the rise up. So in this situation, or this idea, it basically having the chair run the committee. And then there's the committee gives reports, or if something is voted out of committee. Is this the kind of same type of structure you're thinking? Is org chart is a better example of what this could be, a new org chart.
Yeah, kind of. I think I get what you're saying. Maybe somebody else can answer that better.
Like in a 3-branch system, the idea is those committees are intentionally separate from the executive boards that they then report to. Do you get, you know?
They're separate. Yeah.
Like
I
they'd
know.
have the finance committee for the House, and then they would report what they want to do to the treasurer executes it. You know what I mean? But in this situation, it becomes muddy, like.
Treasurer Williams?
That sounds like, I was just thinking about that today, about splitting up the financial responsibilities between Parliament and Finance Commission. But I think with the other things that we're talking about, we need to get the structure down first, and then whoever's here next year can figure that out, to kind of take steps towards that. But that would be a good end goal.
Harry, did you have?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think I've spoken enough. Well,
You can speak as much as you want. Anyone else? Representative Jakes?
Yeah, so one thing, again, with the treasurer thing, before we were talking about like what like if this was to go through, like what the role would be, it's like the thing is, as we were just saying, we want to have accounting stuff on the Red Connect. So it's like, then if you have people running the meetings, what is the role of the treasurer at that point? Because that's the biggest points. The only one I can think of is contacting the clubs when they're like out of, when they're not
Treasurer.
out of line and stuff like that.
Pretty much, this is how it happens now too. Each of our roles and the cabinet's roles are what we wanna do with it. So I would hope that whoever gets elected as treasurer has ideas and goals and is motivated. Otherwise you wouldn't elect them to be treasurer. And then you would impeach them if they don't do those things.
Anything else? Okay. Next slide. This is the committees would look generally the same. Elections Commission would obviously change due to the nature of the student body vote that I want to put out. Outreach Committee would be slightly different just because it would be focused on recruiting as well. Conditions and services would be mostly the same, except it would have the conditions controller and the student resource officer. So I talked a little bit with Mike Kane about an idea for a strategic planning committee, a group of us to think about the long-term goals of SCG and policy and ideas that we might wanna have. And then the idea would be is that stuff would get funneled into the legislative commission, which could work on actually writing this into policy. Because it is really difficult as an e-board, and I don't know if anyone else can speak to this, maybe Miguel, where it is very difficult to do everything that our job requires of us and write out lengthy policies when we wanna make big change, when we are not legislators technically. Like, I mean, we are parliament members, but it almost solely falls on the e-board to create a lot of the policy, and I think that is probably not a good thing. And then Academic Affairs Commission, which speaks directly to Representative Pacheco's idea of potentially having more students who represent these different academic fields so that we can address any academic concerns. Any questions there?
Take a quick 2-minute, I'll be quick, strategic planning. I've been involved with several strategic plannings across state of Rhode Island and government, local stuff. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year on a pivoting scale, and I don't want y'all to seem overwhelmed by this. But from what Dante was saying was, when you're a new e-board, you have some type of framework of what are the goals of what is Parliament going to set out to do. And obviously that changes from Parliament to Parliament and E-board to E-board. But it gives you that framework, that pathway. You don't have to commit to it, it's just something to leave for the next group type of perspective.
Alright. Everyone, alright, any questions? Next slide. These are a breakdown of committees, I kind of just explained them to you. You can look over them. If you have any questions. Oh, I think, so for elections commission, this is an idea Miguel brought up where potentially working with another nonprofit to do polling, like an actual government would for student body vote. I think you brought up bias and those and legitimacy being certain things that would be changed by working with another nonprofit for that. Was there anything I missed there? Or is that kind of generally?
It was an idea that I had heard at the conference where you work with a local nonprofit that specializes in polling for elections, and then they would poll the whole student body for whatever elections we need to hold that involve the whole student body. They would be better at advertising, they would be unbiased, so students wouldn't be like, oh, they're just gonna count the votes and not count other votes if it's like e-board counting it or something, or elections commission could be biased and no one would know. But these people are more likely to be unbiased and have better look to students to have like the outside contracted group to do the election.
Next slide. And then basically I just described. Next slide. I talked about this with Joan. This seems like a more difficult idea, but this is just being thrown out there. The idea of weekly meetings, because each meeting could potentially run faster and we could get more done in a year. I don't know. Oh yeah, and then obviously opening up our meetings to Zoom. We don't want to turn Parliament into Zoom only or majority Zoom at all. This would just be used for like excuses. As you see, it's working decently well today. This is more of a test run. Thank you for that, Jack.
Immediately gets sent.
I don't know if anyone has any specific thoughts on that.
My only question is like, do you feel like you would have enough items on the agenda to have?
Yeah, that was something that Joan also brought up to us. The biggest concern seems to be, yes, this e-board has a lot of ideas and a lot of work we want to get done. So it makes sense why we would want more meetings. But that does not mean every e-board is going to be as productive. So that's a very good point. Representative Pacheco?
So, can we back up to the previous group just for a second? Like, yeah, nope.
Back one more?
Yeah, thank you. So, we're talking about moving elections for the e-board to the entire student body in here, right? And like my concern is that like we pick the e-board members based on the fact that we've seen people perform in various committees or in their tasks here. Like we all know how we pick people, right? Like it's we're not doing it like it's a popularity contest or it's like entirely biased. We're going, oh, so and so did a good job doing X, Y, Z, and so maybe I trust them to do this or maybe I don't. That seems to be a biggest factor in elections currently. And like my concern with the with the student body is that they don't, most of them don't see what we do, most of them don't really even know what Parliament's all about. So like, does that turn the elections actually into just a popularity contest instead of like a reward for commitment? That
Treasurer Boyles?
It would encourage every part of SCG to be more transparent to the whole student body, because every student should be able to easily find out what is happening in every part of SCG.
I mean, I agree with that, but I think like the interest for most students isn't there, right? Like the.
Because they don't know, nothing's like advertised currently, like obviously we're working on it. But I think the transparency to the student body in like the financial aspects, the club aspects, the website, like it's kind of poor right now. So it would encourage people to be more transparent
And campaigning. I mean, I think a good example would be the freshman elections. I mean, 3 of the positions elected were SCG people, and I'd say they're pretty qualified. So and then also there's the idea of like maybe we have requirements on what an e-board member needs to be. Maybe they have to be on Parliament for a semester, so making it so that the people who do run are more qualified helps us not worry about that as much. Also, something I talk about very often is that like I promise you no random student is gonna want my position. Like this is way too much work for any student to just run on for jokes or popularity.
Sure, okay, I believe that, I've seen you up in your office plugging away for time.
But that's a fair concern.
Yeah.
Mikey?
This is just a perspectives type of ideology. So you're a nonprofit 501c3, so you are not applicable to Opens Meetings Act, which is the Rhode Island General Law Statute. However, the transparency topics that y'all are talking about really do relate to Opens Meeting Act ideology under that general statute. As a point of reference, this room fully equipped for Zoom, we did it over the summer, something that Matt, Jakes and I had worked out last year kind of thing. And the accessibility to view Zoom recordings from a transparency perspective, I've heard comments from government officials, I'll say, and they're like, there's no better way to have transparency than to just have the meetings recorded and posted for public availability.
Oh, that was.
Yes, quickly.
So, I thought about it too for the Zoom meetings, we could just do it to prevent it from becoming like overwhelmingly on Zoom. Just make it where you have to ask for an exception like we do with absences.
Like a leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Representative Jakes?
Yeah, I just wanna, well, back to piggyback on what Marcus said a little bit earlier. So if as far as like you guys brought up like having the whole student body vote for the positions, and then I'm just gonna bring up what we were kind of thinking of doing last year when we did the constituencies. Obviously, there were some things that would have to be fixed in the constituency policy. But like the idea that like Frank and I were kind of planning on, kind of ran out of time on, is like you'd have like each parliament member represent constituency, so they would, and then eventually what happens instead of them getting to a petition process, they would be elected. And then after that, you would have the parliament members elect the e-board, since everyone on parliament, they know what's going on, but again, you'd have you'd have the general student body pick the parliament members, that way it's all fair and everything, and everyone's represented properly.
Yeah.
Just like a representative government.
Yeah, the long-term goal, which Miguel and I have talked about, because Miguel initially didn't love the idea of student body voting on e-board, is that if we have to be voted on by a student body, that all of us should be. But first, I think we should lay a lot of groundwork before we do that, because it's a good idea. And I think that if we do have to be elected, that means that all of us have to do a better job, because we have to directly appeal to students.
Yeah, my only question is like, how would that be? Like, would you guys have to be elected twice? Like, if you're elected on the parliament and then elected into your e-board position, how's that?
So generally, how I was thinking about it was that the parliament roles would be up for election. So you can petition, get onto parliament, you could just be a parliament member, but then for parliament roles, you have to be elected. So like that means the majority of us have to be voted in, the people who are doing most of the work. Yes.
I would say, I know that we were just talking about the whole idea of that elections, should we put it out to the public? And what we talked about so much is about being accessible, and the more people vote, the better, is like the basics of democracy in general. I also think that for a lot of these slides, specifically right now, we're getting way too muddled down in the details. I think like the whole point of the slide presentation, as we were talking about, is just these are broad ideas. Do you think that we could take this idea further? Maybe. But if so, then maybe write that in the Google form. I think we're getting way too detail specific.
I agree. But thank you for that, yeah. Representative Russell.
So like having the student body like elect like e-board positions, could that like potentially draw out like how long, cause like if you have like an e-board election like we had in here, it's like we knew that it was gonna be at the next meeting, blah, blah, and then we were all in here to vote on it, but like you'd have to do so much like, there's like campaigning and stuff, and I feel like if we have like somebody who leaves in the middle of a semester and then like we'd have like a vacancy for a little longer, cause they have to like, we would have to find people to do it, then they have to campaign, and then we have to let everybody know about it.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I think that's the easier part, is I personally have no problem with Parliament voting on people in the case of a special election. I think that would be understandable to make sure we're moving quickly. I have no problem with that. Anything else? Okay, let me go back to where we were. Oh, yeah, weekly meetings. Okay, this was a different idea that I had. A lot of this is us talking at you, as you probably imagine.
You're still on weekly meetings.
Next one, Ben. Yes, thank you.
Hi, just a question for the weekly meetings, so
Go back
folks
a
can
slide.
decide whether or not they think this is a great idea, right, which is the purpose of the form. When you all were at the ASGA conference, did you find that a lot of governments did?
Every one of them do weekly, yeah.
Okay.
All of them do weekly. We're like one of the very few that do bi-weekly. I don't know if that sways anyone, but. Okay, yeah, we can do next time. E-board at Parliament meetings, the idea here, I literally just came up with this today, would be that we are not here. You guys the speaker would run the meeting, and then you guys would be responsible for figuring out what we wanna do, based off of whatever agenda the speaker brings. Representative Williams, or Treasurer Williams.
Can you explain why that would happen?
Yes. That would happen because I think it's important that you guys get a chance to speak, get a chance to do something, produce resolutions, policy changes, any of the sort, create ideas, and I think that would be better if handled independently of us. Because I think that a lot of it is us pushing our ideas into your brain and telling you to think about them when you might not want to. And that should not be what you guys are required to do. I think it should be your guys' job to be autonomous over yourself and what decisions you wanna make, separating more of the e-board from the more legislative aspect of it. And then, for example, if you believed that the executive board should do something, you pass a resolution, and that would come to us. If you wanted an e-board member to be here, you could call us in to talk about something, or we could request to come in and talk about something. But I think, and then in general, I think the vice president should be here to vote in the case of a tie. And then, yeah, obviously the speaker would be here. So, yeah.
So it would be a tricameral student government?
Well, not tricameral, because we're not all three different things would be voting. It'd be three branches.
Is that not tricameral?
No, tricameral would be like if there were three
Like
parliaments.
House, Senate, and then like the super house or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would be horrible, actually. I'm really glad we don't do that. Tricameral.
Four houses.
More argument.
Yeah, seriously. Representative Rocha?
Okay, hear me out. I think that weekly meetings are a great idea, and what if for like executive board, cause I do feel like, yes, sometimes it's like a lot of us sit here quiet and we're just kind of like taking it all in from what you guys say, but also there are times where I feel like ignorant or clueless to something that's going on, and so like Treasurer Hoyos like chimes in, it's like, alright, that's a lot more clarification because he sees some of that behind the scenes work. So maybe it's like you guys aren't at every meeting, but you guys are at every other meeting rather than so that like you guys are still there, you're still like present and like.
We could, yeah, I mean, in the sense of like what we were talking about with committees, maybe if you wanted us to be ex officio members who can't vote, but can give advice on what you guys are saying, I think that's cool. But so long as we're not impeding on what you guys wanna do,
yeah,
I think that might be a smart idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Representative Pacheco.
So everything Rocha just said, plus accountability. So like my concern would be that like if the executive board isn't in front of Parliament and then things don't happen that Parliament wants to see happen or vice versa, then it becomes an issue of like how to like I don't like the idea of the student government having a separation. At the end of the day, we're not managing the whole school, we're not managing a city or a state or a country or even just the whole school. We are here to like do things for clubs and certain segments of student body for certain activities. I think that keeping everyone more in touch with each other and more accountable for projects and stuff is a benefit. It's not a hindrance to us.
Yeah,
In the way that we operate.
So I think some of that's addressed by Representative Roach's idea, and also all of these meetings are live streamed and recorded. Any one of us can look back, then we get the minutes for everything. That would create probably a better use for these things, to be quite frank. Just because we could be like, this is all about getting everyone to just do more. And I think this creates a good system of that, because as something I'd like to keep reiterating is that even though I love my executive board and I think we're very great, I don't think every exec board is going to be as good or productive or and I don't think we might always have a parliament as good as you guys are. So we need to set up these structures that last beyond us. We can't just rely on the people that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I'm concerned about not having e-board in front. Like, I know that if I come to you guys and I bring something up, it's gonna get handled, but like the other in the future, people might not be able to depend on that, right? And so executive board could be like, oh, I don't wanna deal with, and just like things stop getting done and then there's a lack of accountability, then they have to, so like they're meeting once a week, but then they have to call someone in for the next week to come and address a thing or.
Yeah, so I mean, if we agree with, if you just want us to be here, we can also do that, that's understandable. Or there's probably other alternatives. If you guys think of anything, this Google form is gonna stay up. This is just about idea generating, basically. Any other questions? Here, Les.
Is this the last slide or is there one more slide? Cause I don't wanna
Can you see?
interrupt
I
your
actually don't
flow.
even know, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, there's one more,
So
which is
let's,
just
so
about.
I'll do it at the end. I want you to get through.
Yeah, this is just basically the breakdown of when generally things could happen based off of, we would want this year, none of our current positions to change or be affected. So we would just be adding ones that do not change or affect any of our roles. Then the next year would be all the ones that do affect and change our roles. So for example, like deputy speaker would be gone. Sorry, Jack. Speaker would be gone in the way it is right now. So a PR director would be different, like all these things would change the year following. So that's how we have it laid out. I was curious what you wanted to say.
Okay, so there are so many good things that I saw tonight. I'm sure everyone had ideas. You haven't convinced me on the why, like making the case to me. What I heard over and over is two things. One, make Parliament more accessible to the student body. Two, give people a pathway to leadership. And maybe three, also alleviating some of the pressure on the e-board. I think that has to be, and there may be other reasons that you all came home from Washington DC and came up with these ideas based on you meeting with other people from around the country. But I think you need to start by the case. Like you have to make the case for me at the beginning of why making these changes, which are not inconsequential. These changes some of them are really big. Why we should, as a parliament, we meaning you all, take on the effort to make these changes over the next 2 years. So I want you to make the case for us.
I will take that as a compliment because that means that the ideas are worth something, because this is, once again, like I was trying to iterate, this is not an agenda, this is not concrete, none of this is concrete, this is all just idea generating. But if, as Parliament, you guys decide or we decide that this should be something, then we can totally do that, and I will 100% come with a why. I mean, I have a why, I assume you don't necessarily need that right now. But yeah, basically it just comes down to, we could be doing a lot more, we could be helping campus a lot more, helping students. It is about alleviating our burdens helps, but it also makes us as an organization able to contribute more to students and impact more areas around campus. So that's all of my ideas. If you guys need the QR code, I can also give that to you. I'll probably send out this slideshow to everyone afterwards, and the e-board will look through all this. And eventually this will be policy if you guys like it. Okay, that's all I got.
Okey-dokey. Thank you, President DiGregorio. We are gonna move on to reports. Miguel went to fill his water up, he's not been seen since, but he will be just going over the finance meetings from, from September 24th and October 8th. Maybe we could take a short recess until he gets back.
He's here.
Ah, perfect. Just in time.
Duty calls.
I yield the floor to Treasurer Hoyos.
Alright, please review the Finance Commission meeting minutes from September 24th and October 8th. Are the amendments from earlier included in this?
No, cause these were sent out Monday.
Okay, so do I just say that things were corrected?
Do you remember what they were?
William
do.
does.
Okay.
And William does.
You remember? So Comptroller Dempsey has the amendments that were passed at Finance Commission, could you state those?
Yeah, a couple of changes needed, I mentioned in the finance meeting today, and they were passed. One is the third meeting didn't take place in Parliament Chambers in room 307, it took place at the Faculty Dining Center over there due to some career fair, they needed the room, the college needed the room. So that had to get changed. That's on the first page. On page 7 of meeting number 3, I don't think he's Parliament, but this kid named Gage, I don't know his last name. He opposed Inkwell's amended allocation request. That wasn't mentioned, so he opposed it in the vote. And then for meeting number 4, page 12, the senior class asked for their senior gift, and it was written under as charitable donations, but it was voted upon to change the name to senior class gift, and in the part of in the chart below where it says amended allocation request, it still says charitable donation instead of the change that we've just voted on to senior class gift, so I said that had to get changed. And then lastly, anytime that Treasurer Hoyos has to have a conflict where he's like he's treasurer of the senior class, so he had to yield the gavel to me to run the meeting, so it mentions that the gavel was passed to me to oversee this part of the meeting, but it was never mentioned that I yielded back to him to continue the meeting, so I said that had to get added, and those are the changes that were made.
Alright, is there any other discussion about the meeting minutes? Alright, can I get a motion to approve the amended meeting minutes? First by Representative Mann, second by Representative Reed, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. I yield the floor back to Speaker Tomini.
Alright, thank you, Treasurer Hoyos. We're gonna move on to old business, so I'd like to introduce President DiGregorio to go over the SOC policy discussion.
I'll
Yield the floor to President DiGregorio.
we looked at
Should he need it?
we looked at the policy that you got, and you guys gave your recommendations, and we made the changes. I think we added just a breakdown of what the committee looks like. I think that was changed and we put a cap of 15, which seems to be the general consensus on how many people should be in a committee, depending on the committee, but that's what we did for SOC. We added the section about inciting violence and changed it to be about recreational sports. And everything else is the same. So take a look at the policy. Let me know if you have any questions. Treasurer Hoyos?
Sorry, I might have missed it because I was reading, but is the membership changed, section 1.02?
Yeah.
What changed? Sorry.
They changed, so we broke it down into like what the committee looks like, how many members are in it, what the maximum is, because there wasn't a maximum before. And I think there's a minimum in here as well. Yeah, there's a minimum, 4 committee members and 3 parliament members, which is 3 parliament members and 1 non-parliament member. Yeah, that's basically the changes to the membership.
Are we voting on this tonight?
We talked about it at the last meeting, so yes. Unless anyone has any thoughts and feelings about it. We can also, if there is any issues with it, we can just amend them right here. And then still pass it. Unless there's like too many, you guys just think it's a bad idea. Treasurer Hoyos.
I move to amend section 1.02 E, C and D. The wording is a little confusing. I think it should say 4 committee members, which consist of 3 parliament members and 1 non-parliament member. And then minimum or maximum of 15 committee members, which consist of 10 parliament members and 5 non-parliament members. Or like with at most that many, I don't know what the wording would be, but.
You as a motion? Is this a
Yeah,
motion?
yeah. First, do I see? Speaker says it, right?
Oh, no.
The floor to you.
Yeah, well, okay, I can do it. Well, it's your motion though.
It's your motion.
So someone seconds it.
Yeah, I'm seconding it.
You're speaking.
Oh.
Interesting.
Second by Representative Russell. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Amended. Thank you, Miguel. Any other confusing that you would like to change? Do you guys need more time? No? What does everyone think?
No.
No? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the recognition policy? First by Representative Logan, second by Treasurer Hoyos. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Passed. Cool. I yield the floor to Speaker Thomas.
Alright, thank you. We are gonna move on to updates and remarks. So up first, I would like to introduce Dr. Perry Levis for her updates and remarks.
Oh my goodness, it's 9:04.
It is.
No updates and remarks, except I'm gonna ask Mr. Mike Ward if next meeting we can have something to eat, because I almost went to the cafeteria to buy things for us.
No.
Yes,
I
so.
concur.
That
Second, I
yeah, you
second.
second that, thank you.
I'll talk to the dean, we'll see what we can do.
There's our Dean Zito. Yeah, this is too long of a meeting for you all to not have something to eat and a little bit of coffee. All joking aside, I only have, I have to refer what Jack said is that last semester, all year, actually, last year, we had 2 faculty members and 2 members of our staff, one of the unit center and our director, our VP of DEI, who gave presentations to faculty, students, and staff about immigration policy and what is happening nationally across college campuses, and including what ICE can do or cannot do on our college campus, and what we can do if those things happen. So look for flyers. It's happening the second week in November. And it's a good way to educate yourself to help your colleagues and friends. Secondly, if anyone heard, is that the president announced either today or yesterday that the second week in November, the American Democracy Project is having a session that's being moderated by Ted Nisi, who is WRNI, I think. Oh, thank you, Jack, I appreciate that. So the American Democracy Project is having afternoon, evening that the president's moderating about workforce development and education and the role of public education, and the announcement went out either today or yesterday. And those are my two important, not important announcements.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to staff updates from Representative Kane.
I think we'll touch upon what I was talking about last time, was continuous improvements in customer service workflows at Rhode Island College and the interdepartmental cooperation. I think at this topic, I would suggest that if you all would share with us how to improve the customer service relations for Rhode Island College from your student perspective, so the staff, that would be very helpful. As I don't have the particular insights of the day-to-day interactions, while I try to interject myself in Rick runaround problems, I would be happy to hear of.
Treasurer Hoyos?
Are you asking for that right now?
No, just, it could be next meeting, you could send me an email, you know, just digest it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I just, I don't need to put my remarks to flip it to you folks, but I am interested to see what you all have to hear.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to staff updates from our second mic, Representative Ward.
All right, as President DiGregorio alluded to at the top, just a quick update on the student value catering guide. We received, so we are in receipt of a list that hopefully some of you participated in compiling, but if not, I thought it was a pretty solid list. We're gonna meet sometime next week to put some finishing touches to that. Hopefully we'll have an update in the next meeting to be able to unveil for an opportunity for savings for clubs and organizations on campus. Two other things for you. One, I talked about surveys. Right now, we're not where we wanna be in the number of surveys, so help us get the word out. We wanna achieve at least 300 more. We have a good number, but we can get a lot better, and that is where we generate a whole host of ideas from the student body to help influence change in the dining operations.
What survey are you referring to?
Dining student satisfaction.
Did we all get emailed that?
So it's been hosted in Dawn and in the bistro. And there will be a email blast coming out with a QR code from the dean, he just doesn't know it yet. So there's that. And then lastly, we are quickly approaching the holidays. Clubs and organizations from a catering, we do a whole host of end of year, end of semester catering events. Please encourage folks to get those orders in and on the calendar. We get an absolute bombardment towards, you know, this time of the year. It's really important that we get those on the calendar and understand what's coming at us. That's what I got.
Great, thank you. We're gonna move on to updates from our Dean of Students, Mr. Ted Sudo.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. No major updates, just wanted to compliment or just note what a great weekend we had on campus with our homecoming and family and alumni weekend. SCG was well represented with their amazing golf cart decoration. Although they didn't come on top, it was very creative and it was great to see. So hopefully many of you were able to take advantage of it. If you weren't, I encourage you to be able to do that next year and be able to look out more exciting things happening this semester. And I'll keep it brief there. And I will yield.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to alumni updates from Representative Jakes.
I have no announcements tonight. I yield back to the speaker.
All right, thank you. We are gonna move on to appointments, resignations, and vacancies from President DiGregorio.
Hi, everyone. So I appointed Brianni Acosta to bylaws, Judy LaRose to conditions and services, finance commission is full. Public relations, I appointed Brianni Acosta and Judy LaRose. For college committees, I appointed to the Academic Integrity Board, Alexandra Howlett, myself to the Bookstore Advisory Committee. College Lectures Committee, I appointed Brianni Acosta and Tamia Smith. Honorary Degrees Committee, I appointed Orly Juarez, the senior class president. Library Advisory Committee, I appointed Ollie Barone. Traffic and Parking, I appointed Julia Rose. Undergraduate Academic Advising, I appointed Kai Reed. Undergraduate Curriculum Committee, I appointed Madison Mello and Jasmine Valdez. For resignations, Haley Rose resigned from Student Life and Traffic and Parking. And then as for vacancies, bylaws needs more non-student parliament members, they need one more. Conditions and Services needs one more non-parliament member. Elections Commission, they need one more non-parliament member. And then I think that is it for open spots on our committees. So I yield the floor.
Alright, cool. We're gonna move on to issues of parliament members. I'd just like to reiterate, this is just like a space for you to promote club events, make announcements, or just bring like general complaints. No motions are allowed to be made during issues of parliaments, and questions brought up are also not allowed. Does anyone have any announcements, anything they wanna promote? Nikita?
Non-issue parliament, we need to approve the committee changes.
We do. Yield the floor back to President Gregorio. Your catch.
Can I get a motion to approve all of my appointments?
All changes.
All the changes. First by Representative Reed. Second by Representative Russell. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Pass.
Okay, cool. And then, were there any issues of parliament members? Treasurer Hoyos?
There's going to be an event tomorrow in the evening in Res Village called the Big Rick, and it's like the Big E. That's one of the Big Rick at Night events that some of the RAs are doing. So you guys should go, tell people you know about it. I don't know what the Big E is, but people are excited. There's prizes and stuff.
Deputy Speaker Doyle?
Alright. The Big E's a crazy cool carnival, unrelated to what I gotta say though. I'm hosting an event as a peer mentor. I have to do like some kind of event on campus, and I was like, oh my god, what will people actually go to? Cause you know, like it's hard to get people at an event. I'm doing an event, it's called Rick Pays Back. There's gonna be free pizza there. And I'm basically going and telling people in Craigley 108 at 5 p.m. on November 3rd. I'm going and I'm explaining to people how to get the most out of Rick as far as paychecks go. How to get the most amount of money you can from your time here at Rick. So yeah, that'll be Monday, November 3rd, 5 p.m. Craigley 108. Rick Pays Back, you'll see it everywhere. The flyer just came out today. So Rick Pays Back, if you're interested at all in getting more money from Rick, go to there.
Thank you. Are there any other issues of parliament members? Is the issue that it's 9:14 p.m.?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well then, if there are no objections, the meeting will adjourn. Alright, hearing no objections, with general consent, the meeting is adjourned.
Roll call.
Oh yeah. He's gonna take roll call, please.
That one threw me for a loop, so.
It's a new one. That's what
New trick I learned.
That's always like everybody would.
Alright,
Oh.
attendance, again, thank you. Dante Di Gregorio,
Present.
Tess Sullivan, Marina Colonis, Miguel Hoyos, Benjamin Tomini,
Here.
Jack Doyle,
Of course.
Brianni Acosta,
Here.
Isabella Ba, Joshua Ballesteros,
Here.
Ollie Barone, Zari Lynn Campbell, Sonia Kintayan, William Dempsey, Donovan Johnson, Alola Oluwatomisin, Elias Frawley Gendron, Jamie Goldberg, Alexandra Howlett, Riley Jackman, Alex Kong, Julia Rose, Alex Logan, Malcolm Mann,
Here.
Paige Marshall, Madison Mello, Mark Chico,
Here.
Kai Reed,
Here.
Marcus Rocha,
Here.
Haley Rose, Chris Russell,
Here.
Jason Sanchez,
Here.
Jonathan Seguin, Mia Smith, Nilson Washington, Jasmine Valdez, Lucas Weber, Andy Kozel, Mary Levis, Melissa Marcotte, Michael Kane,
Present.
Michael Ward,
Here.
Dan Zito's here, Matthew G.
10 hours and 2 hours.
Thanks.
Dude, I know. The last 3 is
Josh, tell Nikki to call me back. I know you already told somebody else.
Oh, but you know what?
Oh, yeah.
I swear.
Yeah, and it's super accurate. I don't look at it. Yeah. Hey, somebody wanna turn that off?
Yeah, I got it. Have such a good night. See you later, Seth.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You want something to eat?
See you later.
Oh, sorry, we're closed.
Nikita.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Great.
Bye, Nikita, take care.
How are you? Thanks for candy.
I gotta go.
Courtesy of Jack.
I
You want it?
bro.
Who we care?
This person.
There's a lot of people not here.
Here.